The air in the living room felt heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Daniel sat on the edge of the worn leather couch, his fingers tracing the frayed seam, waiting for Claire to speak. Her silence was louder than any words could be, her eyes fixed on the floor, avoiding his gaze. The faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen was the only sound, a cruel reminder of the normalcy that had once filled their home. Just hours ago, he'd been changing their son's diaper, laughing at the way little Ethan's tiny feet kicked in protest. Now the world felt like it was tilting, ready to spill him into an abyss. "Claire," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. "What's going on? You've been off all day." He leaned forward, searching her face for the woman he'd married 3 years ago. The one who'd laughed with him under the stars on their honeymoon, who'd promised forever. But her expression was a locked door, and he didn't have the key. She swallowed hard, her hands twisting the hem of her sweater. "Daniel, I need to tell you something." Her voice cracked, and his stomach churned. He'd known something was wrong, had known for weeks, maybe months, but he'd pushed it down, buried it under diaper changes and late-night feedings. He wasn't ready for this, whatever it was. "Just say it," he urged, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Together." Her eyes finally met his, and the pain in them was a knife to his chest. "I don't love you," she said, the words falling like stones into still water, rippling through him. "I never did. I didn't want to raise this baby alone." The room spun. Daniel's breath caught, his mind scrambling to make sense of the words. He stared at her, waiting for a laugh, a retraction, anything to undo the confession that had just shattered his world. But Claire's face was resolute, her lips trembling but her jaw set. She meant it. "What?" he managed, his voice barely audible. "What do you mean you don't love me? We've been together for years. We have, Ethan. We built a life." "I know," she interrupted, her voice rising with a desperation he'd never heard before. "I know what it looks like, Daniel. I know what we've built. But it wasn't real. Not for me." He stood, his legs unsteady, as if the ground beneath him had turned to sand. "Not real," he repeated, his voice breaking. "Claire, I proposed to you under that stupid oak tree in your parents' backyard. You cried. You said yes. We danced at our wedding. And you looked at me like I was your whole world. Was that all a lie?" She flinched, her hands clenching into fists. "It wasn't a lie then," she said, her voice softer now, almost pleading. "I wanted to love you. I tried. I thought I could make it work, that being with you would be enough. But when I found out I was pregnant," she trailed off, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I was scared, Daniel. I was 26, alone and terrified. I didn't know how to do it by myself." He felt the weight of her words like a punch, each one landing harder than the last. "So you used me," he said, the realization bitter on his tongue. "You married me, let me think we were in love, let me build a life with you. All because you didn't want to be a single mom?" Claire's silence was answer enough. She looked away, her shoulders hunching as if she could shrink into herself and disappear. The room felt too small, the air too thick. Daniel's mind raced, replaying moments from their life together. The late-night talks, the way she'd smiled when he brought her coffee in bed, the day Ethan was born, and she'd clung to his hand through every contraction. Had it all been an act? Had he been blind, seeing love where there was only convenience? He turned away, his hands gripping the back of the couch as he tried to steady himself. "When did you know?" he asked, his voice raw. "When did you know you didn't love me?" She hesitated, and the pause was a blade twisting in his chest. "Before the wedding," she admitted finally, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought it would grow. I thought having Ethan would make it real. But it didn't." Daniel's knees buckled, and he sank back onto the couch, his head in his hands. The betrayal wasn't just in her words. It was in the years she'd let him believe in a lie. He'd poured his heart into their marriage, into being a father, into building a home for the 3 of them. And all the while, she'd been carrying this secret, a truth that made a mockery of everything he'd thought they were. "Why now?" he asked, his voice hollow. "Why tell me now after all this time?" Claire's hands shook as she reached for a tissue on the coffee table, dabbing at her eyes. "Because I can't keep pretending," she said. Every time I look at you, every time you're so good with Ethan, it kills me. You deserve better than this, Daniel. You deserve someone who loves you the way you love, the way you thought I did. Her words were meant to comfort, but they only deepened the wound. He wanted to scream, to demand answers, to shake her until she took it all back. But the truth was out, and there was no one hearing it. He thought of Ethan, asleep in his crib upstairs, oblivious to the fracture splitting their family apart. The thought of his son, with his mother's eyes and his father's stubborn chin, was the only thing anchoring him to the moment. What happens now? He asked, his voice barely holding together. Do you just walk away? Leave me to pick up the pieces? What about Ethan? Claire's face crumpled, and for the first time, he saw real fear in her eyes. I don't know, she admitted. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to lose him. But I can't keep living like this, Daniel. I can't keep lying to you. The room fell silent again, the weight of her confession settling like dust. Daniel's mind was a storm of emotions: anger, grief, betrayal, and a bone-deep sadness that threatened to swallow him whole. He thought of the future he'd imagined: Ethan's first steps, family vacations, growing old with Claire by his side. All of it was gone, replaced by a reality he couldn't comprehend. He stood, his movements slow, deliberate. I need time, he said, his voice steady despite the chaos inside him. I need to think. But right now, I can't look at you. Claire nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Daniel, she whispered. I never wanted to hurt you. He didn't respond. He couldn't. Instead, he walked to the stairs, his hand trailing along the banister as he climbed to Ethan's room. The soft glow of the nightlight illuminated his son's peaceful face, and Daniel's heart ached with a love so fierce it nearly broke him. He leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss to Ethan's forehead, and made a silent promise. No matter what happened, he would protect this boy, this piece of his heart. As he stood there, watching his son sleep, the weight of Claire's betrayal settled into his bones. The road ahead was uncertain, a path lined with pain and questions he wasn't ready to answer. But for Ethan, he would find a way to keep going. For Ethan, he would learn to trust again, even if it meant rebuilding his heart from the ashes of her confession. The house was quiet, but the silence was different now, fractured, heavy with the truth. Daniel closed his eyes, letting the tears come, and whispered into the darkness, "We'll be okay." It was a vow, a lifeline, a fragile hope that somehow, they would find their way through the wreckage.